Hello, welcome to another video. We're going to be featuring Fafnir here today. Starting items for me right now are going to be Hand of Gods, Chalice, Sentinel's Gift, and everyone's going to troll and hate in the comments, but it's going to be Chronos. Chronos Pendant on Fafnir to start with. Why? Pridwin's terrible on him. His cooldowns are super long, and he does so much damage to start the game that with a Chronos start, it really allows you to put a lot of pressure on the enemy team. So I know people aren't going to like it, but I have success with it, and I will continue to do it. To be honest with you, on most supports right now, I'm either grabbing Pythags or, well, mostly Pythags. Fafnir's the only exception with Chronos, just because he can't use Pridwin. So that is what I am doing with him. Heimdallr starts really nice here with his crystals in case you guys do play Heimdallr and you're not doing the crystal start you need to. You can see the way that he could teleport over, plus you can auto attack cancel to actually increase his attack speed and keep all of his things being cleaves. Dual lane to start, number one is always going to be attack the minions. I think a lot of people, especially in lower tiers, underestimate how much damage minions do to start the game. Minions can do as much or more damage than an enemy god. They can be far more dangerous in terms of their damage output than people realize. So always make sure you're going for wave clear first before you start getting aggressive. You can definitely grab his jump as his 2, or as your level 2 ability. It's a little more aggressive. Plus, you can always escape if the enemy jungler comes. We had so much pressure here, I was fine grabbing his 2 just because the extra heal that you can get, plus that little bit extra pressure that we can add with giving Heimdallr that attack speed plus bonus damage. Basically, I wasn't worried about the enemy jungler coming over. There's really no reason to come over here. We had so much pressure on them. He's not going to get a gank out of it. It's basically just a waste of his time other than to maybe try to push us back a little bit, but he's not going to get anything out of it. So most junglers aren't going to waste their time when we have that much pressure already in dual lane. A little bit of reset here. I don't normally, even if we're ahead or have pressure, it's really risky to go for that invade on the purple buff early on. I certainly have done it, but it's a situation where I have to have some health pots up and pretty healthy. Another thing I wanted to mention too is you could also go Gem of ISO, and really Fafnir is one of the only people you'd want to do that on as a Guardian. When you cast his attack speed buff on another player, it does proc the slow effect of Gem of Isolation, and when you're in Dragon form and you get the AoE effect, it counts for everybody. So just another interesting damage start that you could go if you don't want to go Pythags or Chronos. Then I would suggest going Gem of ISO as your damage item. I grabbed Shell first. Normally you'd like to grab Horrific Emblem on Fafnir, but they all had jumps or escapes on the enemy team or dashes. And we were going to need Heavenly Wings second because I knew Morgan was going to be turning into Gilgamesh, so I wanted Wings for my second relic I knew. So I wanted Shell, I wanted Wings, just really couldn't grab Horrific Emblem here. I know it's strong on Fafnir. I think people overestimate how needed it is on him. Yeah, it's nice to, put Horrific Emblem and transform, but I don't think it's that big of a deal not to have it. So after your first back, you can definitely just go to dual lane. We had good pressure here. I wanted to try to get something out of it. The other nice thing too, when you do have this early pressure on, is that you guys can hit level 5 before the enemy team does. We didn't really get to use that here, but when you go and do those 2 mid-harpy camps in the dual lane, it can get you... The reason to take the time to do those is essentially to hit level 5 first, and then maybe you can do something with it. We didn't really do anything with it here because everyone was 5 at the same time, but it did allow us to, make sure to keep up with them and get these kills. You can see here that the damage output, basically by me building a damage item first. Pele sticks around. think, you know, she's just underestimating how much damage I'm about to do to them. So, oops. Oops on Pele. But I don't blame her. I mean, normally I shouldn't be able to kill him that quickly. I think a lot of people underestimate how much damage Fafnir is going to do in general in Dragon form. And especially when you build a little damage, then it's over the top. We're not going to build anything else offensive with Kronos. Or other than Kronos, I should say. The rest is going to be pure defense. And I do that with all my Guardians. You know, I think it's crazy not to build one offensive item, or at least a hybrid item. I think it's foolish to build pure defense. There's no reason to. By late game, you're going to get melted anyways. Having that one little bit extra defense item is not going to do as much as having some kind of damage item is going to be. I was out and went back in, and I didn't realize how much was going on there. That's my fault. No reason for me to die there. We could have gotten those kills, and I didn't need to go back. Just a little bit of a misplay. The other nice thing with Fafnir, too, grabbing damage at him early on is with his passive. You know, you can get up to 25 magical and physical protections just from gold in hand. So, with Sentinels plus his passive, you already have some defense built up. So it's not as big of a deal. I go Thebes second here. I don't always go Thebes second. Sometimes I build Thebes last, and you can laugh at that, but you can get the stacks so quickly endgame that I don't usually have an issue doing that. I get my stacks pretty quickly. I did elect to go that here, just because I had a little bit of a lead, and I felt like I could afford to not have any additional defense for a while. It was a risky move. It'll cost me a little bit in terms of getting ganked. You know, from being a little bit squishy. But mostly that's just due to me being a bit more aggressive. I'm always an aggressive support. That's just the way I like to play. I hate playing passively. I'm always looking for a fight. I'm always looking to rotate. I'm not one to just like sit back and peel. Not that I don't do that, but it's just not, you know, here I am trying to rotate over early because I'm looking for a kill. I'm surprised Heimdallr hung out as long as he did here. Understand the kind of carry that you're playing with and what their escape is. You know, I knew what Pele was doing, running to his crystal or looking for it. Heim had a nice play with his ult right away. You know, he had vision on her, knowing that I was there. His Bifrost does also give him like a ward if you like cross it. So, but I still wanted to be right there for when he crystaled out, which I knew he was going to do. Our Janus made a lot of really good plays this game. It's too bad Janus backed off there. That would have been a free kill. Now we have to overextend and try and get this. Missed a few hammers this game. You can't hit them all. This is where we invade, free invade on this. If I hit that hammer, Pele dies. It's really unfortunate. You gotta play a decent amount of Fafnir to hit a lot of hammers. It's such a thin like cast. Again, I missed that hammer again. I had 2 chances to kill her. I missed both. I haven't been playing a ton of Fafnir lately, even though I know he's definitely very strong in this current meta. He's never been bad, but he's certainly stronger now than he's been in a while. I'm out here a little bit because Tyr didn't have any magic defense. And so I wanted to try to do something with that. Nike had a lead, and he didn't really have any magic. I missed a few abilities. And so that's unfortunate. You can see how much damage I'm doing to him right here. I knew I could kill him even without anti-heal if I could hit him with enough. But I just was off my mark. I didn't want to keep you know, splitting Nike's farm. She's got a lead. I don't need to be over there stealing her farm. It's better to have your solo ahead. There are times where you should stop and get the green buff always, and times where if there's something going on, you just need to run past it. But I think too often supports are ignoring when that green buff is up. That green buff's super good. Especially if you have enhanced green buff, don't ignore it. Take the time and get it. Even if that means you missing a wave because your mid's about to clear wave, still just get green. It's not like it's a bad thing to let your mid have a free wave by themselves. But don't do it too often because you don't want to be too behind either and be useless in a fight. I'm surprised to see Gilgamesh still getting a fair amount of play even with another round of nerfs. I feel like it hasn't done a whole lot to him. I didn't realize what was all happening there. If I had saved my transformation, I probably could have gotten a stun off and saved him. Luckily, we get the kill here. I'm totally fine trading myself for the mid. He's got 2 levels on me, and I'm the support. I don't really care if I die to an extent. But trading that level 13 was definitely the way to go. See me there, say sorry, Gilga. It's kind of a... I just didn't play that right. I mean, that is the problem with Fafnir, right? Is that transformation in and out can kill you in a fight. There are times where you gotta transform early, times where you have to hold your transformation, times where, you know, it's just about getting, like, when to do that transformation right. You know, is it knowing when that team fight's coming? In case you didn't know, you can cancel the Dragon Form early if you want to get out of it, or if you're in a place where it's expiring soon and you don't want to get stuck in a bad place to transform. So Nike had rotated over to try to help us do this, and then she just kind of left. And it kind of screwed us over because Tyr stayed and she didn't. And it certainly ends up costing us. Like right now I should have just gotten out. That Tyr Fearless just destroyed me. But we definitely got baited by Nike big time. She's the one that called that. That's not me pinging, by the way. That's my teammates pinging her. But I certainly wasn't happy about it either. Luckily the team makes a little bit of a play here to at least get something out of it. Yeah, Gilgamesh does report Nike. I think that was a bit extreme. It's a bit much. Yeah, she kind of screwed us there, but I mean, I wouldn't say that's report worthy at that point. Like, let's just calm down, guys. So build next. I would say grab what you need here. I went Shoguns because we had a Gilgamesh. I'd say anytime you have like an auto attack type jungler, I would grab Shoguns. Not that you have to. You could definitely go like a Pestilence here. Or if, you know, the enemy hunter is building crit early, just go ahead and grab. I mean, it'd be rare for them to build it this early, but if they do, just go ahead and grab your Spectral now. You know, a Witchblade possibly. Really, whatever you feel you need. More times than not, I'm grabbing Shoguns. In all my videos, you see I grab Shoguns almost every game. I just love the item in general. It's not great on Fafnir in terms of, like, you know, his basic attacks are so garbage that it really doesn't do much for him. In terms of his damage output, it's much better on Warriors or something like a Ymir. To that effect, you know, or even like an Athena. But it's still worth grabbing. So I transform here, which, in case you didn't realize, drops aggro on towers, on bosses, and whatever else. It did reset it, but our team was not going to help us, and I wanted the damage. I didn't want me and Heimdallr to get super low while doing this, in case, you know, Invisible Morrigan was going to show up. She was dead at this point, but, like, before that had started, I wanted to just make sure, or Tyr jumps over, and Hachi also, just whatever was going to happen. I just wanted me and Heimdallr to be able to secure it easily. And with all my damage in Dragon Form, that's easy. So you can see right there a bad transformation. Pele blinks in. And that's going to happen if you're Fafnir. I wasn't paying enough attention. I didn't think I was in any danger, so I just wasn't paying that much attention to my transformation switching over. And it cost me. So don't be lazy. Make sure to understand when your transformation is going to be.
When will they learn? You will not falter in your duty. You are unstoppable. Do be careful.
That dropkick is such a satisfying ability on Gilgamesh. There's only a few abilities in the game like that. Heimdallr ult's another one, just a really satisfying ability to hit. So you can see that, like, I normally like to do green and grab those harpies, but there was stuff going on, and I end up running up here and really getting nothing for it, but who knows, maybe I save somebody by showing up here and distracting Pele.
Retreat. No bother. Okay.
In terms of what abilities to level, I would say most times you should level his jump just for the damage it gives. I think the attack speed buff can be equally as good. You know, it does increase the heal and obviously the attack speed bonus damage. So I don't think there's like a wrong way to do it. You know, do you save the jump as just kind of the movement ability and you don't level it up and you just keep with the attack speed bonus damage? You certainly could. I don't have a problem. I think you definitely always level the hammer first, and beyond that I think it's kind of your call on your team comp and what you feel like you want to do. In case you don't know, his 3 disarms, which I'm sure most of you should know that by now. In Dragon Form it stuns and disarms. This gets messed up here. It's hard when there's a Morgan. I don't know whose Gilgamesh ult that is. I have honestly not a clue even sitting here right now. And then sometimes in these little corridors in the jungles, your camera angle can get all screwed up. Like, I just can't see anything right now, I feel like. And a tier Fearless, just not good. I probably just overcommitted there. And Tier's just so nasty. I didn't have a ton of physical defense at that point. I should have had enough, but Fearless is just such a good ability. Willing to take some blame on my mistakes. This mid to late game, especially on Fafnir, I like to stick more with a carry in the mid, especially when you get a mid like a Janus. If you're like a Zeus or a Nuwa or somebody that needed significant peel, you know, stick with them. But if you stick with a carry, then you can go and do things like, you know, objectives. They can push waves safely. You know, that's mid to later game is going to be a lot more dangerous for your carry to get ganked. I didn't know where Morgan was going. I was hoping I'd catch her there. That's basically why I jumped that way.
An enemy has been slain. Even in numbers, they are no match.
See, with that sovereignty, that Fearless did significantly less to me. I was sad we did not get Tier there. It was a very dangerous transform. But I thought we could kill him, so I did it. Nike's level 20 here. Plus she had just used her ult. I thought there was a very good chance that we could kill him. I weave that right past here and get him. It's pretty sweet. Haha, our buff. Wasn't expecting that beads, that's why you see all this in Mac. I was kind of a panic hammer. Even though we did have Hachiman and we have a nice, healthy lead, pulling this up cheap was a little risky. I didn't have a problem with it. It ended up going our way, which was lucky. That was a risky transformation, but I knew there was a big team fight coming in, or like there was about to be a lot of things going on, and I just wanted to get into that form. I didn't know who was going to end up securing that FG, so I was like, if they get that FG, I want to be able to kill them. That's essentially why I chose to transform then. Plus, obviously the transform does damage. I don't know if my damage actually secured the FG kill or not, but certainly didn't hurt. It's kind of one of those calls where if I had transformed and they had all died and we didn't get anything, like I would have felt pretty awful.
Attack left lane. Group up.
So you got a ton of gold in hand. It wouldn't have been a bad call just to return to base, spend the gold, and go back. But they had people dead. We had a big lead. We had minions coming. I wasn't worried about us dying over here in this left. We have me with a nice jump. Gilga plus Janus escape. It wasn't something where they're going to be able to jump out and get us all of a sudden. I stayed for that blue if I knew we weren't going to be pushing Phoenix, and they could easily do that tower. I was just kind of staying there until, and see if anyone from the enemy team showed up, essentially. And I was just kind of hanging out. You don't always need to show yourself in lane in that tower. It's not a bad thing sometimes to just kind of hang out in the jungle and see who's going to come, and that way they don't know you're there. So Hachi was building crit, so I grabbed Spectral. So now we're at full build. I'd say this is a pretty standard build you're going to be able to run most games. If you need anti-heal, you could grab Contagion instead of Sovereignty, or switch out Shoguns for Pestilence, certainly as well. I like having a 30% cooldown. You definitely don't need 40, because at some point you will buy a pot, or even, I just don't think 40 is necessary. I think 30 is a good spot to be. If you don't need Shoguns, obviously you could grab Contagion at that point too. Again, we're about to assault the Phoenix. I just transform right then. If you wait a lot of times to transform until you need it, it's too late. You gotta know when you're gonna need it and get into it early.
This warrior is on a rampage. Their footsteps have ceased.
We had a nice lead. This was an easy FG kill. This is a pretty standard Fafnir support game. Some things I did wrong, some things I mostly did right. But you get the general idea of my playstyle with Fafnir and what I do with him. Good example of the types of plays that you can pull off with them. So, pretty decent match. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something.